Welcome to the DMV show here on DMV Sports Media. As you're trickling in, make sure you do hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and definitely chat. We have a live chat, so talk to us, engage with us. Noah, what's up, buddy? How are you doing?
I'm excited, man. This is quite a week. We didn't enjoy as many fixtures as we normally do. It was a nice mini respite, but the fixtures we did have were some high quality, high performance matches. Happy Easter weekend for all those who celebrate. Happy regular weekend for all those who don't. We didn't have as many Maryland, or actually, we had no Maryland matches since our um, last meeting, match Super League matches, but we had plenty of excitement in the Virginia Super League. We had plenty of excitement in UPSL action, and we still got lots to recap here.
Yeah, we're gonna dive all in this. As always, I'm your host, Geo. Obviously, you heard from Noah. Noah's my co-host here. We're gonna start diving through the reactions. It's gonna be a very Virginia heavy episode, specifically in the Super Soccer League, because that's the only conference that was active. And I'm gonna start with this question, right? We're gonna start with the must talk about game, which is Virginia Dreams versus Los Toros. I'm just gonna ask you. No, I'm just gonna rip the band-aid. Is this the game of the season so far?
So far, it's without question. I mean, that's
Is
nothing. Now the question is, will it be the match of the season? Time, will tell. I think it has incredible implications because I don't see Los Toros or Virginia Dream dropping points. I mean, it's not impossible, but I think obviously that was the match that both sides had penciled in on their calendar. It was an early matchup in the season, so now both sides will have to not only stay perfect throughout, but they'll both have to worry about goal differential. And I think it's good for the league that they won't be able to pull away from each other after this one. They'll both have to be at their blistering best in every fixture. And it was quite a match in and of itself if it didn't have any of those implications.
Yeah, for those that didn't see it, the game ended 3-3, but the storyline of that game was a wild one. Virginia Dreams started off full press, full gas on the throttle, all the way down. Got a big lead, and then kind of slowly stepped off a little bit. Los Toros started getting some momentum and started catching up. Then, when Virginia Dreams wanted to press the gas again, it was a little too late because Los Toros was on game, and it ended up being 3-3. So the game was a little deceiving, but it was an entertaining game nonetheless. And it's crazy because of this split, or because of this tie, the Dorados is in number one.
Yeah, albeit with a few games in hand. It's going to be an interesting
Fair.
season because teams have played different numbers of games. And of course, everyone will catch up to have played the same 10 games, but just based on field availability, team, schedules, it's going to be that way. But you have to kind of look at the points per game
Hmm.
metric in order to understand where teams sit. Doratus is sitting in playoff polling in the top four, but they're not a real number one unless Virginia Dream or Los Toros start dropping points in the next few.
Yeah, I mean, they're pulling what, like, if we want to get very specific, it's 2 points for per 5 games, so it's 10. They have 10 points, as where Los Toros has 4 games and have just as many points. The biggest thing is the goal differential, right? Right now, and Virginia Dreams is with the least games, sitting on fourth position with 3 games, a bunch of games in hand, which is wild to think about that. And they're sitting there with 7 points.
Yeah.
North Star randomly. Well, I shouldn't say random. No, sorry, North Star. Not for you to catch a stray like that. But they're sitting in the in the third place.
Yeah.
uh, let's talk about any final words you want to say about this Virginia Dreams Los Toros game.
Man, I do have plenty of words, Gio. Don't give me carte blanche like that. It was the fight from Los Toros. So many sides. When you get a third goal buried on you, you see them sides disappear, the lack of effort. They turn on each other,
Yeah.
turn on the referee, and start making silly fouls, silly choices, and they check out of the game. And I think that's what Virginia Dream were banking on, right? And I think Los Toros would have been excused for thinking 3 goals against Virginia Dream, it's insurmountable. But they didn't go that way. They didn't go quietly into the night. They kept fighting, and they kept trying to make things difficult, playing a physical brand, and you kind of gamble that not every one of those challenges is going to be called, some of those borderline uh,
Right.
fouls versus just physical challenges. They created some havoc. They got one back, and it's just like the atmosphere all changed after the one. It was when Virginia Dream went from coasting to like a uneasiness, and then when it was two, it just felt inevitable that something special was going to happen. And finally, in the 97th minute, a little bicycleta goal from Alejandro Nira. It was so special and just a crazy goal to have witnessed in person and caught on camera. Yeah, early contender for season and goal of the season.
uh, for me, while I love everything you said, but for me, the part I enjoyed the most was that matchup between Akinkoy and Hoed. I that matchup was something fun to watch. It got dicey sometimes, but
Oh yeah,
they kept it really clean for the most part. But it was very physical. There was some pulling of the shirts, but it was just really fun matchup to watch. And Jovel was the guy who really picked Los Toros up in that National Cup game against Westchester, and really put like just he was the tip of the spear. And just to watch that against a Virginia Dreams team that, I mean, freaking it's Virginia Dreams, man. And it was a very fun matchup. I know there were some lulls in the game, but then it got spicy, very spicy and very enjoyable. So
yeah.
if you haven't watched it, recommend it. Because you hit the subscribe button, you'll go back and watch it after this episode. All right, let's talk about the other one because this one was a random one.
You're talking about Blazers and North Stars, I assume. This was the night before, which is crazy. We had two matches that were had so many goals, but ended with split points, with shared points. Not only that, it was I think in this one a 98th or 99th minute goal, something crazy. I haven't, in honesty, seen the entirety of the match because I wasn't filming on that one. But as I understand it, there was a lot of stoppage time given.
It was.
At one point, Blazers had a 2-goal advantage,
Yep.
and North Stars, who I think were slightly the favorite in the game, ended up coming back, scored two, and almost scored a game-winning goal. Kirsten Mariden, the goalkeeper for Blazers, the young goalkeeper right out of high school, scored or had made a fantastic 1v1 save against Cedric. So almost, a game in which North Stars came back from two down and then almost won it, but great game.
That
And
that game was a roller coaster. That game was a roller coaster because at first, Blazers were the first to score. Then North Star kicked it off, and they were well ahead. I think it was like a 3-1 lead or something like that. Blazers fought back, then got the lead. North Star came back, tied it on them, got their fifth goal, and I think it was like 7 minutes added or something like that. And Blazers ended up getting the. I'm sorry, North Star ended up getting the tying goal at the end to leave it 5-5. It was it was a wild game, man.
there's more to the story too, because
Obviously,
while it wasn't a DMV Sports Media or a Super League game, those two sides matched up again on Saturday night in UPSL action, and it was a 0-0 game.
of
How
course
do you
they.
go from 5-5 to 0-0? I don't understand, but just wild. And I guess the shared points in any case was the fair result for those two. But it was good to see some more, parity. Sides very even, very level. That in any other week, I think that's going to be the match of the week. Of course, the next night we saw Virginia Dream and Los Toros, which kind of buried that one a little bit. But yeah, for those who were present, that was one to remember.
That's wild. It's a total of 16 goals in 2 games. That is insane, insane. So this is a fun little question before we move on. Toy is asked in the chat, 5 games played. How many are going to a Dream, and how many are going to Los Toros?
That is a loaded question. I'm gonna let you field that one because that is so set up to put me in poor graces with somebody, and it's
Well,
a tough one to answer.
It's an easy one. What do you mean it's an easy one? Because we are out of 5 games, we already know one result, right? It's a tie. So then we just do 2-2.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, let's just go with the let's go with the it's been what was it?
Politicians.
Yeah, I agree with that. Let's go with the historical like how it's been. The one uh, Dream lost in the Super Summer Copa. Dream has won the two since then um, in playoff. Yeah, the Virginia Super League championship match and during the regular season last year. They won both of those, and then this most recent one that's four. Was there was there one before that?
Wasn't it the Virginia final? You said the Virginia final.
Virginia
Um,
Super League final.
right.
Yeah,
I
that
can't.
was.
I can't think of another one.
I think those are the four. So I guess it's two, one, and one. Two for Dream, one for Toros, one split points. Um, yeah,
I
that's
will say Los Toros are a very improved side from like the early days, and they're giving Virginia Dreams a run for their money, and it's bringing. I think this is me being maybe hopeful, but at the same time, kind of what I'm seeing is bringing the best out of Virginia because I felt like that dream Los Toros matchup in the middle of the week, random. It had a lot of energy from both sides. It had the rosters look like it was they were taking it serious, and the way it started, Virginia Dreams was taking it serious, and they always take it serious. But like something about this match felt different, and they started off different. But then Los Toros, like you said, they dug their heels in and fought back. So much respect. So I think it's a more improved Los Toros side.
yeah, no doubt. Yeah, I think that what's interesting also is Los Toros. Maybe in the past, Virginia Dream had to spread their resources out. They have so many leagues that they play in, and there could be an argument that Los Toros got to focus more on. But it's no longer the case. Los Toros find themselves playing in three leagues.
Hmm.
Right now simultaneously. So they also, have to figure out how they manage their player resources. Um, and they have a lot of commitment from their players. I got to give those guys credit because you think, oh, well, they just have so many players. Well, it's not easy to have just so many players because if you pick the wrong players, it brings down the level of the player pool, and it's not fun to have guys who are not on the level at practice, and guys will leave that type of environment.
For sure.
So it's credit to them to be able to retain so many high level players, manage them between different games, and Dream as well. Dream's been doing it. I just mentioned Los Toros because they've taken on the challenge well of entering new leagues and still playing at a high level.
Well. Dreams is like the staple, right? Like dreams is the measuring stick you measure yourself with. Like, are you there, or how much further, or how farther behind are you? And they're the expectation, or sorry, not the expectation. They're the ceiling that you want to reach. And I think dreams is only getting better, and it's only growing as an organization. So teams need to either try to catch up or try not to fall behind. And I think Los Toros is doing a great job, getting closer to them. Not saying they're keeping pace, but they are making big strides to moving in that direction. So I think this is a fun matchup to watch, or a fun. I'm gonna call it a rivalry, a fun rivalry to watch as it continues to blossom and continues to grow. So this is one to keep an eye out for their game number two.
Yeah, and they won't be matching up in UPSL, even though they both do play in UPSL. Obviously, Los Toros not in the NPSL, so the only spot that you get to watch those two combat right here on the Super League. And I will be shocked if there is a playoff that doesn't feature at some point Los Toros and Virginia Dream, either a
Yeah.
repeat of the Virginia side championship or somehow in the semifinals if another team is able to surpass one of them. I think they'll both be in the playoffs regardless.
Yep. So the other two matches in the Super Soccer League were Alexandria United 2, Esperion 0. Finally, Alexandria United closes out a game. We've had questions on them about how they close out games. Can they get it together? They did do it.
Yeah, they did. it wasn't convincing in my estimation. And to their credit, they were not satisfied. I mean, I saw the coaching staff laying into their players after that game,
Right.
because Esperion created so many chances that they didn't finish. And Esperion also are very well aware. I talked to some of the players and coaches after that. You can't play in these leagues and play against teams of this
Right.
caliber and expect to be squandering these chances and then just get more. Like if you don't take those chances, they understand why they've had a really tough start to their season in all competitions, and they weren't pointing fingers. They understand. But yeah, Alexandria not convinced. It was only the very end when Esperion had committed their goalkeeper, the whole team up on a final set piece, that Alexandria got the second on an open goal. Um, and there were some crazy saves from Alexandria's goalkeeper. Balls cleared off the line. This game could have gone either way very much, and so it wasn't a convincing result either way. I think Esperion still is going to be in some games. Alexandria still needs some work, but yes, they did. They did finish this one
I
off.
mean, that's all we've been asking for, right?
Yeah, yeah,
We've been asking for them to finish out a game because it's like you play lights out, like you play out of this world against Virginia Dreams, and then all of a sudden, they just I can't close out a game or can't play to the caliber they played against Virginia Dreams. You know what that reminds me of? As I was saying it, it made me think about Mexico, how Mexico always plays up to teams,
yes,
but then always plays down to teams.
yeah. That's a very, very like comparison. Well, Alexandria United will get to try themselves against Virginia Dream again this Sunday. We'll have that match on DMV Sports Media
Yes, we
at
will.
8 p.m. after a 5 p.m. Arlington SA match. So there's plenty to look forward to. I anticipate that Alexandria will have a strong game plan for that. And I think that it'll be one where they perform it out. I don't know if they're going to get points, but I think that they're going to make Dream work for their points in this one.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, and so the final matchup of the Super Soccer League was Dorados 3, LAI nil. Big win for Dorados, which ultimately saw them keep the number one seed. Obviously, with some caveats, Don't come at me, people. It's with some caveats.
Yeah.
But yes, they get they keep the first place in the standings. Any reactions from this one?
Yeah. I mean, it's two stories here, right? I mean, Doratus, they're a side that's in form, and credit to them. They've done well. They also earned a really strong, resounding UPSL win, which we'll cover later in the show. But kudos to them. They did everything right, and it was a match that they had mostly in their control. But LAI still lots of questions. This was a side that had brought pieces of talent, but it just looks like they're maybe if they get it together, it's going to be too late. It feels like they came into the season underprepared,
Mm,
and there's guys who are just not gelling. It's clear that they've added some pieces and that have never practiced together. Are learning each other's names at the field, and it's showing in their results. I think that they're gonna struggle. It's more of what we talked about last week. They could be um, the side that struggles the most across three leagues just because of the competition that they're up against and the preparations they've made.
yeah, I 100% agree. I think they're to me they feel like they're taking advantage of what they can get early on in the season because they know they're going to struggle later on in the season. And
Mhm.
that's where I think their tactics are. It's like let's get as many points as we can this right now, because then when resources start getting questionable and we start getting stretched thin with the amount of games we're playing and everything, it might get tough. So shout outs on the organization, but definitely a team to look out for to see if there's a fallout or something as far as resources are available.
I will say, Coach Bruce Robinson, he is, a tactically sound coach. He's a
Hmm.
strong leader of men, and I think he's gonna be the glue that kind of holds this thing together and could pull some results. But it will come down ultimately. How long can they continue to suffer these results and keep the same players? Their
Right.
best players they've got. They still have Ben Hur. They still have Pierre Cornell, and some other guys who can help them win. But ultimately it's a reality that those kind of names stop showing up at some point when you're just losing week in, week out. They're not getting the support they feel they need. That's the issue.
And it's not like they're losing like crazy, right? And I mean, they've only in all their competitions they've lost one game, two games, and drew one game.
Yeah,
Or
that's
sorry, drew
fair,
two
but
games,
but
two draws, two losses.
but all it takes is one Los Toros, one Virginia Dream, and you're flat on your back, wondering, you're questioning everything about your decisions. And
It's a fair statement. It's a fair 100%. It's a fair statement. But
yeah,
you know, I just say that so that players hear like, all right, it's not that bad, but you have to have commitment,
but you
right?
got to
So
get it together quick because those
yeah,
teams are coming, and not only those, but you need a result against, say, Alexandria Blazers. If one of those
you
teams
can't afford it.
that
Yeah,
yeah, you can't afford any kind of letdowns. Oh, not having your guys available. You need to be there. Like, it's time to lock in or give up. Is kind of, this is the turning point.
100%, 100%. All right, so we're gonna before we move on to the UPSL, I want to do a game of the week for you for Super Soccer League. Let's pick one in Virginia and one in Maryland if you are ready. Oh wait,
I
we can't. We already had the Virginia games. Oh no, we haven't. It's Monday.
Okay.
My goodness,
Well,
I thought it was Friday. I could
that
I,
is
I could tell you the Virginia games if it.
no. I there's different hmm, criteria.
Well,
Um,
here, let me read it for the audience. Let me read it for the audience.
sure, sure. Let me think about this and
So
ponder.
so Tuesday, so tomorrow we have Dorados versus North Star at 9 p.m. They will be playing at uh Loyasdale Park,
Mhm.
Loyasdale Park, and then you have on Wednesday you have Blazers versus Virginia Dreams at Bryant High School at 9 p.m. And then Thursday you have Alexandria United versus Los Toros at Langston Hughes High School. That's Virginia. All right. So now we're gonna do Maryland. Maryland obviously is all gonna be on Sunday. Is you have we'll do Division 2 and then we'll go into Division 1. Division 2 you have Baltimore City versus Touch Kings at Milford Mill, MPC versus Prairie United at Hammond High School, MSI Pro versus Slancha at Milford, and then for Division 1 we have Das Beer Hall versus A3 at Milford Mill, and Steel Pulse at versus Baltimore Kickers at Milford Mill. You know what I realized? I didn't give any single time for the Baltimore games.
Don't worry about it. We'll worry about that later. Otherwise, I need to return some field space to Howard County, but that is for another time. I have my matches of the week though. Do you want to go first?
Sure. For Virginia, for me, is going to be that uh, while I love the Virginia Dreams versus Blazers and Alexandria versus Los Toros, I think it's going to be Dorados versus North Star.
You stole mine. That was it. That's the same for
Really?
me. Yeah, I just think right now Los Toros are in form, and I do think that Alexander are going to struggle going to
Right,
them,
right.
and having Los Toros, sorry, Virginia Dream right around the corner a couple days later. I don't know if they're able to bide their resources between those two fixtures, and if they have to choose, I think they're going to prepare more for. Oh, excuse me, it's a Sunday game, but still, they're going to prepare more for Virginia Dream. That's just
Yeah.
a hunch. That could be wrong, and so I'm going to give that one, to Los Toros. But Dorados and North Stars, those are two sides that very much will be vying for the same playoff spots later in the season. And I
100%.
could see this one going either way. There's plenty of players who have played either side. Jack Pinson, the former North Stars goalkeeper, holding it down for Dorados. Santos Pacheco is another player. He hasn't debuted for either. I don't actually know which side he's going to play for, but these are
Didn't
oh, never
Pacheco
mind. He's a Steel Pulse.
Steel
Never
Pulse?
mind. Never mind. He's not none of those. None of those. But he's going to be there as a fan. So I'll see you there, Pacheco.
Yeah, I think for me the reason I went with this one and not with because I think Virginia Dreams takes the Blazers. Los Toros takes Alexandria United. So I think for me here is we just talked about Dorados not being able to drop points. Well, this is a big game, right? North Star is known to take points. North Star is known to play very well. So this is a game that's going to challenge them, and we're going to see how real of a deal are they going to be for the season. If they get these points, you're getting buy-in from players. You're getting a lot more than you would have if you lose this game, and then you're telling players like, "Hey, look, we're fighting for this playoff spot regardless of what happens." So I think this means this is huge for Dorados, and the same for North Star. If North Star gets the points, players are going to buy in because they're like, "All right, we're in third place. We just knocked out 3 points from the leading team or leading team. I'm excited. Let's lock in." So this is why I think is more on the line here. Um, for Baltimore, or sorry, for the Maryland
I have a
conference.
question before we do this. Are we including the April 30th Wednesday game in our selection for
No,
potential? That's technically this week's game,
Sunday to Sunday. Let's just do it Sunday to Sunday.
though. All right,
Let's cut it Sunday to Sunday. We can do that for next week.
fine. Okay, you go first.
Strict rules here. No, do you want to do Division Two and Division One separately, or do
Yeah,
you want to do them all together? Okay. All right. For Division Two, I think we're gonna pick
easy.
the same one. This is easy. I mean, MSI Slancha.
Yeah, with the, I mean, strong honorable mention has to go to the Baltimore City Touch Kings. I want to see if Baltimore City can do it again. I want to see, if they're back with confidence, with their urgency to approach these games the proper way. Big statement, draw against MSI. Yeah, there was some contentious moments at the end, but I mean, Baltimore City played great that game, and I want them to know that they played great. But can they do it again against Touch Kings, and can they even try to go and win 3 points? They do that. It's a whole different conversation. We're talking Baltimore City right back towards what we kind of thought about them prior to the season. Um,
Yeah.
but alternatively, if Touch Kings continue to be Touch Kings, status quo, and but yeah, it has to be MSI Pro as Slancha as the match of the week in Division Two.
It's crazy. So like a little storyline between Touch Kings and MSI. They're like flip flopped on UPSL and Super Soccer League. Like Touch Kings is killing it in the Super Soccer League, but then are just having an awful time in UPSL.
Wow.
Like they haven't won a single game in UPSL, which is mind boggling because they played MSI, so it's not like they haven't done anything, like haven't played a team they don't know. They did draw against Frederick Kings, and then, or sorry, Moco, and then they lost to, I want to say it was Germantown or Hyper. I can't remember their first game, but it's just like the flip flop. So it's very interesting where MSI has had a rougher time in the Super Soccer League, but is absolutely cruising in UPSL. Interesting, just very interesting. Thought I'd point that out. But yeah, MSI Slancha game of the week for Division Two. And for Division One, I'm actually gonna say Das Beer Hall A for
A3.
me.
Okay, we're fully aligned here, and I'm coming up. I decided I'm coming up Sunday morning to call this game with Mr. Dono because it's special. I haven't I haven't given as much love to Maryland as I'd like to. I feel out of touch, and I got to show got to show face. Oh man, it's gonna be important. I mean, A3 Highlanders, they're a team that's really fighting to earn another playoff
Yeah.
spot, a repeat spot in the playoffs. Beer Hall, they've been tested this season, and I'm so curious to see how they respond after a tough result against Ambition. In the past, they've had A3 Highlanders number in the Super League, and we'll see. Is it the kind of the changing of the guard? Are A3 Highlanders able to supplant and pass Das Beer Hall, or will Beer Hall lean on their experience, their maturity, and take points?
I mean, these so ultimately these two teams are going to be, if there was playoffs, right? If there was playoffs, these two teams would be fighting for the fourth spot.
Mhm.
these two teams are currently identical. One win, two losses, n- negative one goal differential. Right? It's like they're identical. They are identical. There's nothing much that is separating them, and that's true on the field. Right? Like they have some great moments. They've played some great soccer, but simple mistakes have been the reason they're behind. Um, A3 is a little different, just a little bit different with the fact that they played Steel Pulse, and Steel Pulse absolutely had a. I don't actually I shouldn't say absolutely because it was a 4-2 win, but they had a cleaner game against them. As Radas Beer Hall has dropped to Ambition twice and Bullies. They just had a rough time. Sorry, not Ambition twice. Ambition once, Bullies once, and Baltimore Kickers once. They won against Baltimore Kickers. So
Yeah.
it's yeah, I mean, this game is exciting because it could go either way. It could go either way. A3s could come out playing. Das Beer Hall could come out playing. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I'll be there after church. I'll be there after church for sure to get the second half.
Nice, nice. Maybe you can snap some photos. We can call
Oh,
the
we
game.
need we need. That's actually a good idea. Maybe I won't come up to call the game with you because we need some more
We
photos.
need some photos, man. I love how you've been integrating them into the stories, the posts. So you've been doing a great job with that, and also the graphics. Yeah, the photos are killer. You don't want me taking my cell phone pictures with them. That's what you're gonna get. I also, a side note, I want to find a way to get some commentary on that MSI slot shot. I know you will be tied up, as will I. With
I will be. Where would I be?
you'll be at Los Toros and
Oh, that's right. We got to talk about that game.
Los Toros and Cristos. Yeah.
I
Which have we
forgot.
gotten a final kickoff time?
Yes.
5 p.m.
Uh, hold on. I'm gonna confirm it right now with you. I believe so, but we could keep talking. We'll revisit that short in a second here.
Yeah, let's definitely figure that out. But um, yeah, there's gonna be some good games. I haven't even gotten to think about next weekend yet because I was just kind of probably getting through this past weekend. But man, there's some good ones.
I totally forgot that this weekend was the amateur cup.
It's all good, yeah. One day at a time here. One day at a
Thank
time here,
God we're
brother.
thank God for this show because this keeps me.
Remember when I told you you had all these great ideas before this? You were like, "Let's do this. Let's make sure we have motion graphics for something like Geo." When we get to the middle of the season, it's gonna
look,
be a grind, brother.
look, we're good. We're figuring this out. We're
We're gonna
figuring
be
this out.
fine.
But all right, so let's talk UPSL. Let's move
Absolutely.
let's switch over to UPSL and then we'll get into APL and National Amateur Cup. Uh let's start in the South. And I'm gonna throw some questions your way with the South. I'm gonna start with South B, DMV South B, right? Who is more likely to take this? Lynchburg or Los Toros?
Well, obviously, with recency bias, it's favoring Lynchburg. Lynchburg were able to pull off a win at home against Los Toros. But my assessment of the situation is Lynchburg, they're a side that's going to be tough to beat at home, right? But they conversely are going to have to be the side that travels half of their games to far flung locations 3+ hours away. And it's going to hurt them as much as it's hurting all their away teams. So I still think that Los Toros can find a way to claim the season title. I'm still holding out, you know, my hope with them, but obviously it's a much more open kind of discussion now. So I'm still going to go Los Toros, but they do have to show a little bit more consistency. They have to lock it down for the rest of their matches because that was a big loss.
Yeah, I mean that was a huge loss. We were just talking about how they haven't lost a game in 7 games. I think
Yeah,
we just jinxed them because then they go and tie against Virginia Dreams, and then they go and lose to Lynch
it's a
or
hangover.
or backwards. That my bad if that was the cause. Um, but yeah, I mean they do need to figure it out because Lynchburg right now they're playing well at home. Once they start traveling, it's going to be an interesting question there. And not to mention. Los Toros, you just need to make sure we're streaming your games because you win when we stream you. So we're the good luck charm.
Yeah. No, it was funny. I saw the Los Toros guys on Sunday night, obviously Easter, the Aegean Hawks match, which we'll talk about. But they said, "Oh, we thought you were going to be there on last night." They were joking with me, of course, but no, they're great in their support of the DMV sports media. But yeah, that's a word to the wise. Your players do play better in front of the DMV sports media cameras, and that's not just Los Toros. I think, although the only thing I'll say is I have heard coaches say sometimes these guys want to do too much when the camera is there. When
When
they
they
got to
know they're
reel
being
it back.
watched.
They don't want to release the ball. They want to do all the extra stuff. No, yeah,
That's too funny. That's too funny. All right, so obviously the South is now a race between two teams, Lynchburg and Los Toros. It's going to be one to watch. Obviously, we can't count out Dorados and Blue
Dorados.
Ridge. They are both sitting with one win, one loss, one draw. But it's again those teams for me. It's all about resource management and it's all about how they perform in their other leagues. So things to watch out for. DMV South A. This one is getting spicy. For me, this one's getting very, very spicy. For me, it comes down to Arlington, Virginia Dreams, Alexandria Red, and VA Revolution.
Yeah, much more open. Um, and yeah, there was obviously Arlington Villarreal. It wasn't a close one, and it wasn't supposed to be a close one based on how we were predicting. But man, did Arlington make a statement right out of the gate. I think
Yeah.
in the prior week, they were not up to. They didn't start the game the way they wanted. The 4-1 win over Blazers didn't sit well with them, and I think maybe they felt like they had something to prove in the following week, and they certainly did. I mean, it was a game that was done and dusted by halftime. Good credit to Villarreal coming out scoring one right off of halftime. They had a renewed fight, but Arlington quickly locked it back down and scored a host of goals towards the end of the game. But Arlington looking good. Virginia Dream had a tough one. We didn't cover that one, but the Reds obviously looking like a strong team. The Revolution also, of course, in the mix. It's a game. It's a title that could go any of those four ways.
The Virginia Dreams versus VA, that was the draw, right? That they both had.
VA Revolution and Virginia Dream drew, but that was in the prior week.
That was in the prime, but that was. I just wanted to make sure that was a draw Virginia Dreams had because I'm getting my scores mixed up here. But yeah, I mean VA Revolution is looking good, man. They're looking like they can definitely threaten some positions or potential playoff runs here. And Alexandria Red for me, which one of these four? Obviously, I know you're going to go Virginia Dreams, but outside of Virginia Dreams, who's competing with them for that playoff possessions or positions?
You don't know. I was going to say Virginia Dream.
Come on, no, come on, no. I mean,
It,
for honestly, let's be honest. Let's be honest. Either of us would be stupid to say Virginia Dreams isn't going to be a favorite.
yeah, you're right. Fair enough. I'm gonna put Virginia Dream as a favorite with the caveat, with a big caveat that it's not maybe as assured as it's been in other seasons. Right? There's a very strong side that's playing in this Arlington SA club. For VA Revolution, they were obviously well coached and well
Yeah,
prepared against Virginia Dream playing at the Cloud, as someone pointed out last week. That's a tough venue to go and play away. But now there's also Alexandria Reds, who everyone seemed to suggest they may have fallen off and may have lost players. Not the case. Not the case.
not
The
at
score
all.
lines show you that even in a loss to Virginia Dream, 3-2 is, that's a tight score line. So yeah, the field is very much open. There's some dark horse candidates in there too. But I think if we're going to be honest, that North Stars, Blazers, Alexandria United, Villarreal, we're not really candidates. This is like I can already see the playoff field materializing here. Um, but among those four, it's going to be very tight.
Yeah. Twitch says playing at Revolution is very hard. Big field and a little bit of an atmosphere.
Yeah,
We were
it's a great.
just talking about the venue. We were just talking about that
No,
venue.
he's that. So I was saying it's hard to go to the dream venue and play at a high level. And actually, I think the point that was made last week was by North Stars. Actually, was what
Mm,
were VA Revolution playing at home? And when he found out they weren't, he said, "Okay, then they're for real." Because usually when they're playing at home, they do a great job. They play to their field in front of their fans. They, they're able to lock in, but they weren't. They had to play away at Virginia and Meridian, which is also a great venue, but it's not their venue. So yeah, it's important to get those away wins. It's tough in the UPSL, and
yeah.
they were able to, well, not get a win, but earn points.
To earn points. Yeah. I mean, that's a big deal. It's a very big deal. All right. Let's move to the North, DMV North.
Yes,
Oh man. Obviously the storyline does not change yet. DC Hyper is still running away with it. But not by much, right? We have three clubs or yes, three clubs in contention that could potentially do something, right? Club Deportivo Loro, Germantown City, and Chiefs United. Neither one of those three teams I've mentioned have a loss, but they all have one draw and two wins. And they're all teams we've shouted out. So sounds like we know what we're talking about. I'm just kidding. But any reactions to this? I mean, DC Hyper,
I
it's
mean, zero
tough.
goals against. They're playing lockdown footy right now. And they have an opposite kind of field situation and strategy. They play on probably the smallest pitch that I've ever seen for a 11v11 game, but it works for them. They play, a futsal style. They also, they're defensively dominant. They do what they need in terms of game management to see out games, using all tricks in the book. But yeah, DC Hyper status quo. They're the side to beat. But Chiefs United did show something in a big match. They were losing to Bridgeport for most of the match. Final, maybe 10 minutes, 2 goals. They were able to get the 2-1 victory at home.
Yeah, I mean, Chiefs United has been is a surprise for me. Like they've just been playing well, right? And they've playing like, outside the Bridge Sports like early game. They've been playing very well, playing the games very close, and then with Bridgeports started off so well, but then they dug deep and then they fought back and then ended up winning the game, which is a shout out to Chiefs for their character and they're doing a lot of good there, and I'm enjoying watching them. Definitely a team to keep an eye on. Hopefully, we'll get to see all their matches here in DMV Sports Media because they're fun, man. They're a fun team to watch. They're physical. Sometimes they are well. I shouldn't say sometimes. They are a very direct team, and if you like attacking football, they're the team for you. And that might be the secret to DC Hyper because DC Hyper, like you said, they like the close quarters, the one on ones, the isolations, uh, you know, 1v1 all around because of the football nature or futsal nature that they like. Spreading them out and being very vertical and very quick might be the way to beat them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just want to give one shout out. Again, we talked a little bit about Doratus and their come up, but they had a strong 4-0 victory over Petrolano at home. And it's not
Oh
just
yeah,
the brand of footy that they've kind of established with, young, talented players who, they're expected to be fit and they play, you know, for the club, for the crest, but they do a great job with their game day experience. The club, they're showing up hours, 3.5 hours before to set up the proper locker rooms for the away side. They're
I
putting
love
up
that.
banners. They got the full on PA system, blaring music, and they're attracting the community to come in. This is the stuff you love to see. And I was talking with Matt, or on the mic when we were calling the game together. Some of the clubs that have been in the UPSL for a while, I think they're a little jaded. There's requirements, but it's like, we'll all handshake and we won't really do them all. But Doratus comes in and just reads the rules, and they're like, well, it's expected, so we're going to do it. and they do a great job. They're not just doing it; they're doing it at a high level. And I think if they continue to do that and continue to obviously bring in high level coaches and talented players, it's only going to reinforce itself. They're going to continue to get more players, potential sponsors, and become a force in the community.
They are a team that are doing things right, and if they keep doing things right, it's gonna pay off. So if you do end up losing players, don't worry about it. You're gonna attract players because people are gonna talk. Especially if you start growing your fan bases are going to advocate for you. So players are going to want to go there and play for you in front of fans. And you're doing it right. So just keep doing what you're doing. And it's showing because you're now being put in a conversation where it's, oh, this is a team that'll take points from you and could potentially run against teams like Los Totos or Virginia Dreams, right? It's not a walk in the park or anything. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Shout out. Shout out to the organizations behind Dorados. All right,
Absolutely.
we're gonna move on to the APL,
Yes.
the American Premier League. There in Virginia. I was gonna say here, like I'm in Virginia. There in Virginia, where Noah's very familiar with. We're gonna talk about the game we streamed. Do you want to give us a quick rundown of the game?
Yeah, so it was Easter Sunday. We had just the one match. Los
Wild.
Toros, G and Hawks. They've kind of asserted themselves as the eminent powers in the American Premier League. Of course, Yins United, they are also a side that has something to say about that. World class premier, a dark horse candidate in the league. But really, it's been Los Toros and Aegean Hawks that have probably had the most success, and it's two teams that couldn't be more different in some ways. Los Toros, high energy. They're there before pumping each other up. It's obviously a team that has a lot of Latin influence, and you know, it's expected that they're going to have a lot of players there every game day. Aegean Hawks, much older side. It's players who have such an impressive resume. I mean, they've got guys who've played all over at the highest level, but they're just like the cool kids, and they're showing
Yeah.
up. Maybe they'll have 8 guys at 10 minutes before kickoff, and you're like, how's this gonna go? And they're kind of standing around, maybe juggling the ball with each other and just talking. And then they'll get their 11th man at kickoff. They'll play, and then it's boom. It's on. It's a physical brand. They know how to
Hilarious.
play the right way, and they earn results. This was one that it turned into a physical match. And I'll be honest, they don't like each other. The two sides don't like each other because it's just two very different cultures in terms of how they approach the game. Los Toros, they went up early. They found a Tim Sabene goal. Then Jakob Esfaha, of course, he found a goal. Some contentious moments throughout. Esfaha felt he was getting hit around pretty hard. Hawks, of course, they felt he was diving, and there was some words exchanged, only adding to the heat of the game. Hawks, they found a goal to make it a close one, and Los Toros did hang on through the end. But I think this is going to be two sides we see in playoffs. It only added to some more fuel to the rivalry, and when they match up the next time, it's going to be one to watch for sure. And I'm just hoping the Hawks can just get a little more commitment. I mean, I was talking to some of the players, and I said, "Like, I get it, y'all all want minutes and everything, but maybe like 13 players could be enough instead of just like the 11 at game time. I mean, that's not a lot to ask, is it? 13 guys is enough to work with.
It's given Steel Pulse like vibes.
If Steel Pulse like vibes, absolutely. Their way they tactically approach the game is completely different, but like,
Right.
yeah, the less is more. Only bringing top level players. They'd rather have, and it's the same thing as Orange. We remember seeing Orange. They would rather have less guys and everyone is on the same page in terms of playing at a high level than bringing bodies for the sake of bodies. Not to say that Toros or anyone else, they're expecting high level players too, but it's really to the extreme with the G and Hawks and Steel Pulse. Like, they only want their full on best guys, and they're very selective to a fault in those games.
Hilarious. But all right, man, we're gonna move over to the National Amateur Cup because there's 4 games in. Obviously, we're in quick explanation. National Amateur Cup. We are in now the regional play, and it's divided between regions one, two, three, and four. Northeast being region one, Midwest being region two, region three being south, and then West Coast being region four. Or I might have got the last two switched. But in our region, region one, we have it's four games. We're in the quarterfinals now. We have Atletico Boston, New York. How do you pronounce that word? Pan
Pen Cyprian?
Pan Cyprian. Thank you. Freedoms. They'll be playing on they'll be playing this weekend. All the games are this weekend on April 27th. I don't have a start time, Noah, so don't
Oh,
I
it's 4 p.m.
is it 4
Christos Los
p.m.?
Toros. I was gonna
Okay.
see if you could maybe try to. Well,
Locos Gunners versus Lansdowne Yonkers. Lansdowne Yonkers is a great team, by the way. So that's going to be a fun one. Um, Westchester United versus Alexandria Red. And the rematch of last year's matchup between Cristos versus Los Toros. We will be living that. We'll be streaming that one live here on DMV Sports Media. And whoever wins there between those, the winners of all those respective matches move on to the semifinals, then finals, and then the final. The winner of the finals will move on to play the winners of each individual regions, and they ultimately will win a spot in the U.S. Open Cup. But
yep,
we'll be streaming Cristos versus Los Toros. That's going to be a fun one. I'm looking forward to calling that game for sure.
yeah.
Anything you wanna say before we sign off here, Noah?
No, that's it. Tune in all weekend. We got some great games ahead of us. Obviously, Los Toros Cristos. That's an exciting one, but really, you can take your pick. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday this week. We've got matches. Saturday, we've got the UPSL action. Sunday, Super League, UPSL, Regional, Amateur Cup, and APL. This is the spot to watch. Please hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already. We really appreciate your support, and we're really just getting started. There's so much going on here at DMV Sports
Yeah,
Media, and if you are a fan and you are wondering why a particular match isn't, with us, please talk to your constituent club, your club, excuse me, the club you support. If you're a player, ask, and maybe you'll get an answer on why the club goes a different route with broadcasting. But we would love to just go and film all of the games and broadcast all of the games that we want to select, but ultimately it's not sustainable. We wouldn't be able to do that for long, and we would have to fade away. We do have costs. We do have limited time and resources, so we are a business that needs to be contracted. And so I had a lot of people asking me why the Dream away match wasn't at Reds wasn't streamed, and at Reds doing their own thing, which is totally fine, but they have to, you have to talk to them about where that game is broadcast. And so I just wanted to address that for anyone who's confused or wondering why we aren't covering certain matches. We, of course, try to reach out to teams so we can make sure all the best games are covered, but we are limited insofar as, what teams contract us.
well, there you go. There you go. So the two action items are subscribe
Mm-hmm.
and get your team to contract us.
Yep.
That's There you
That's
go.
it. Simple, simple homework.
Everyone, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate you as always. We will check you guys all out in the live streams from this weekend's matches. Have yourselves a great evening.